Welcome to another edition of MEA Conversations. On the 26th of May, Syria had the presidential election where incumbent President Bashar al-Assad was re-elected. To discuss the election and its implication for Syria, we have with us a veteran journalist and writer, Dr. Waiel Awwad, who is based in South Asia as far back as 1979. Welcome to the program, Dr. Waiel Awwad. First and foremost, tell us something about the election.
It's very important for public of India to understand what's going on in Syria, because as you know, we have a one-party rule for long years, where the President al-Assad was put the constitution of Syria in 1973, and accordingly, election was held gradually, but most of the time it was the Ba'ath party nominees, because it was one-party show, that we had the president who was winning most of the election. It may sound very dictatorial kind of a system, but the problem is that when somebody in the Arab world is popular, it's very difficult that the people may find another alternative. Having said that, I would say that President Assad, though he came with the coup into Syria, he was able to stabilize the society, because if you remember, the Syrian history was very famous of most of the, lots of coups, one coup after the coup. Even the president doesn't have the time to go toward the palace, there will be another coup. So when President Assad came, there was a stability in Syria. So that time the constitution was presented to the parliament, that was approved, and we kept holding this election. And during the Arab Spring of 2011, there was a new way of writing the constitution, and we came up with the new constitution, and which is now accordingly we are working with it, and we are expecting after the election, maybe after there's some sort of amendment to the constitution. But at the moment, we say that President Bashar al-Assad has been nominated again with two candidates whom we knew that he is going to win, not because of the unknown faces have been presented to the election, and he was the known face in Syria. He is the man who stood all the pressure from all over the world. He is the man who we see in Syria as the one who fought the terrorism. So the people of Syria saw the misery during the 10 years of war on Syria, which is continued till date. And they have realized that this government, this president who have devoted most of his life to the people since he came for the last 20 years. So I think this election differs from the other election in two ways, Professor. One is that the previous election, we knew that it was during the wartime. People in Syria were doubtful whether should we vote. 5 million people are externally displaced, half of the population internally displaced. So the country was in a mess. And there was lots of pressure that the president should be changed, that the regime be changed, then Russia came in, then the Iranian helped us, and the government were able to stand. Now, and he won the election. We knew that he's going to win. You see, that's the point where people don't understand that why President Assad was not removed like Gaddafi, like Mubarak, like Ali bin Ali. It has something to do with the people. It has something to do with the public. It has to do with the army. It has everybody is supporting him. Supporting him in the sense that we know that we do not want the terrorists. We don't want Wahhabism taking over. We do not want Muslim Brotherhood or political Islam to take in Syria. We never allowed, in fact, political Islam.
If you look at the last election in July 2014, the president secured somewhere around 88% of the vote, which indicated that there is some opening was possible. This time, it is once again 95%. It is lower than the normal 99.5% vote. Do you think that does such a large voting, does it give you a credibility to the elections?
Absolutely. I for the first time in my life, I have been watching the pre-election and during election and post-election, even till today. If you just beam to any place in Syria, and I tell you, honestly speaking, people in Syria came out voluntarily this time. The young generation of Syria have seen the war. Professor Kumaraswamy, you are teaching in the university. You know how important it is when you have 73% of your public have gone out of the country, have been, migrated, and you had 37% of them are postgraduate. They have migrated, forced migration. It's very difficult to understand the people's mentality. Now they are giving you a new society. If those refugees of 10 years of no schooling in outside Syria, what will be the generation they are trying to give? So the president, the people of Syria, this is a new generation of the war-torn country. Economy is bad. We are under Caesar law by United States. People realize that our future lies with this president. And the recent development in the region, as you know, has also vindicated our position. The people of Syria are educated. They understand. There is nobody forced till date. I'm telling you, just to switch anywhere, talk to anybody. Even you in the places where the people were under siege right now, they sent their ID with a group of people, smuggled their ID outside to go and say, please vote for us. Put our name for the president. And people may tell you these are faking. They don't need to fake it. People under occupation in Idlib and Hasaka and Deir Zor, they give to go and vote. So the 95% or 99%, I don't want to see I'm countering it or I'm saying it's not correct. Let the people decide.
Tell us one thing. In this election, for the first time, those who are outside Syria or the expatriates were given the right to vote. What do you think the significance of this move?
I think the significance is very important that Syrian government wanted even the people to come back. We have already voted in India. We all voted in India as well. All the Syrian community. So all over the world, the Syrian community were allowed to vote. Certain countries, they did not allow us, like Turkey, like Germany. People demonstrated outside the consulate, on the street. They made symbolism kind of a voting that we wanted to vote. Why? Why are you denying us? You said the president is a dictator. He's not loved by his people. You don't want election. You don't want to listen to our voice. You don't want people to take the express or exercise their own rights. And besides, you cut our channels. You removed us from the Arab League. You stopped our OIC. So how the people outside the world should look at us? You see in the street pouring before the election and after the election. Why? So we need to put our voice. That's what I'm trying to explain here. It's simply a measure that the people outpouring because there is anger. They wanted the breathing ground. We do not have, our economy is down to earth. We have lost everything. Our currency is 800% down. We have inflation, unemployment. The country needs $800 billion. And yet we are still under occupation, northern eastern part. So what do you expect people to do, Professor? We needed kind of a hope, and he was the only hope for the Syrian people. And we are building hope because what's important for us now is what will be after the election. That's important.
Okay. Dr. Awwad, one final question. According to the Syrian constitution, an incumbent president cannot have more than 2 consecutive terms. Unless there is a constitutional change, we can assume that this would be the last term of Bashar al-Assad as president. Do you think this term will be different from the earlier terms?
I feel...
So in what way?
Yes, I can tell you, I can feel there are certain differences. I am very optimistic and pessimistic at the same time. This is my honest view. My honest view, we have a very good personality he have different vision. I met him when he came to Syria before he became the president. I met him when he became the president, and I can see the man wanted to serve the country. I leave aside emotional in this. The problem is that there is certain creamy layers who taking advantage of the president. And this war have also given us lots of people whom we don't like them personally. How much is able domestically to prove that he wanted to leave a legacy behind him like his father? That's depending on this, how mature he will be handling the situation. And that's what we are getting the feedback from Syria. Wait, there are lots of changes coming. I don't know what sort of changes. Is it changing? There are some sense of peace in the region. Is the United States, the Israel, and the regional powers are really willing to see Syria stabilized, or are we going to see disintegration of Syria? These are issues which are of our concern. Now, the regional look of it from the regional players, we have major players. We have Iran, we have Russia, we have Turkey, we have Israel, and we have the Gulf countries, including Saudi Arabia, which is taking the main lead. So is there any kind of arrangement with the United States and Iran? If there is peace between the two countries, or reapproachment between the two countries, then things can fall positively in Syria. because we have enough resources. They know, if you look at the WikiLeaks and the stories of doubling the Syrian government was already planned for years, even before the Arab Spring, because Syria had taken a very firm, strong position. So how he's going to change, I think we have to wait and see in the coming months. We're going to reshuffle the ministry, bring people, because if you look at the street, Professor, you will see lots of young faces. And I am happy to see that the Syrian people will take somewhere a lead in this one. Only my worries is that the pessimistic picture is that because of the conflict of interest, because of the finding of oil and gas in the Mediterranean, because of our proximity to our neighbor where peace has not been possible till date, because of the war, all these issues can clear up. Because our neighbor, even our northern part border area, Turkey, is very ambitious. He's bringing his nationality, ethnic nationalities, and the Turkish ethnicity, and he's talking in those terms of our ummah, of Islamism and extremism. So we really have to see our balance in the reshaping of the new world. I think we have to wait and see how is the regional imbalance will be stabilized till we see what will happen. But I'm optimistic that we will see some kind of a change.